Alright, what's up yins guys? Time for another video. Somewhere down the street about a block or so, there's a rat-a-tat-tat going on like a jackhammer or something. They're doing some construction somewhere around here, so hopefully that background noise ain't too distracting. But anyway, in this town, for people's tax dollars, they're actually fixing things. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to call this video yet, but there'll be a title to it by the time I make it. But I told my partner about this, and this was what I told other people. This is about, okay, when you get somebody to fix your car, like if any of you guys ever had stories like this, it don't matter if you're black or white watching. White people do this to other white people and have stories, and black people do shit like this. You know, it's about integrity. You can be black or white or whatever, and you should go beyond the call when somebody asks you to do a job. All right, anyway, but nonetheless, people have stereotypes for the good and for the bad, and I don't know if you want to call this a Western Pennsylvania white people thing. This is what I'm talking about here. But like I said, if you're any whatever color you are, you probably got stories of your own kind doing this shit, and to say why it's bad, I tell you the story. I'm laughing about it at the same time. Okay, it says, when I lived, say, with my parents years ago, you know, we all have this neighbor, no matter who you are, that's kind of unscrupulous, and they have excuses when you catch them in the act, right? For example, says I'm talking about my parents here, my mother and stepdad. Yeah, we had to get some things in the car fixed, some parts replaced in the car, right? And this neighbor, he was pretty cool other ways. You know, he was a little bit of an alcoholic. He was like always drunk all the time, but one of them nicer drunks, and not the annoying ones, but he may have had some things annoying about him. But anyway, he was always talking to my stepdad, and this is how they put you can, excuse me, you always and I'm a firm believer, any of you guys watching, rather than go to a garage, if you can do it yourself, you can save a lot of money. But anyway, yeah, talking to the neighbor, yeah, about, yeah, I might need some help. We got to get some other parts in the car. Usually I used to help and all that, but some things are going to take a lot of time. But my neighbor got to talking to my stepdad and my mother and says, oh, yeah, I can. There's some things that you may not, it might be harder to do yourself, and thinking about actually things that you may actually have to take to a garage, and it's expensive. But if you can avoid it, do it. But and get help doing it to avoid taking it to the garage, right? Oh, our neighbor goes, oh, yeah, I can do that for you. I got some tools in my garage, and shit, I can do that for you, save you a lot of money. I'll do it for only this much, you know? And don't get me wrong, any of you watching, if you have any friends that way and good stories, it's a good thing, too, if you have a friend, neighbor, somewhere that will actually do something like that and come through with a promise, right? That's a good thing too. I imagine you have good stories, but this one is one of those other deals where I don't think they're that stupid, like they were just trying to help you save money. And there's this thing too, whether you watching, say whether it's me or you watching, say me or you were hired, you know, by a neighbor to do something, you know, you do it the way you were told, right? And say, if you were told, okay, you can go to the auto zone or advanced auto and buy the part and do everything too, if you agree to that, right? That means what it is, okay? So anyway, if you got this far in this video, I'm trying not to laugh too, because I'm thinking about particular people. Okay, any of you guys watching this, you got a good noodle, can hold a lot of information, right? Thinking in terms of, say, you were agreeing to do a job. Somebody tells you, you go to the auto zone, you're going to get the part and put it in like you said and do this or that, right? What it doesn't mean, right off the bat, obviously, it doesn't mean go look for some junk car somewhere that's technically on somebody else's property and try to take a part out and pass some old ass part and do it. And anyway, in this day and age, you can't do that. Try to get to the point here. You can tell that wasn't true anyway. That and anyway, I think back in the 1980s, depending on what car you had, that people were still able to go do that. But anyway, my mother and stepdad, like my mother asked, I'd say, well, he's taken an awful long time. The AutoZone is like only like a mile away, you know, in the next town, right? What the hell is he doing? And she goes, my stepdad says, well, yeah, where the hell is he, man? It's been like a couple of hours. So they go over to the house. It was like it got crossed down the street a couple doors, right? And go asks his wife, and I said, oh, you know where so-and-so is? And she goes and says, oh, yeah, he did say he was going to go do that, but AutoZone? No, he wasn't going to the AutoZone. His wife goes and says, well, oh, he was going to this parking lot or somewhere, or this property nobody for sure owns, where these junk cars are at. He said he was going to try to get a part out or whatever the hell. And they were like, what? You know, this is, and like I'm trying not to laugh when I'm saying this. And they go, oh, where's this at? And then my stepdad goes, oh, I know where that is. I know exactly where that is. And they jump in, they go and jump in the car and go get him. You know what I mean, too. Anyway, the car wasn't totally, you know, grounded. It needed some things, but, you know, anyway, not to bore you with the details, like, in a way that, you know, don't want to take it, say, too far, put it that way anyway, but, so they go and he's actually drunk, too. He's out there, he's going there drunk, and they find him and says, oh, yeah, what the hell are you, doing? And he's like, you know, all drunk, and says, oh, I wasn't there. I heard the rest of the story, you know. Stepdad told me. Oh, I was trying to save you some money. I was going to get this part out of here or whatever. And blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm trying not to laugh. Because anyway, yeah, I've been past this particular area too. Like, really junk car. That's what the funny thing about it is, junk cars, and nowhere near, okay, anything in. And even these cars that he was going into, it was like, for one thing, he was probably trespassing on private property, even though you don't know if somebody owns it. Another thing, too, I don't know where you guys are at, but some places have ordinances, too, where whether it's your yard or you have some property, they don't enforce an ordinance unless somebody complains, but anybody who has junk cars on their property, they can make you get rid of them, you know what I mean? But that's a different story. And at the same time, trespass on somebody's private property or something like that too, but it's like right close enough where you go in, but it doesn't mean you go doing that shit. And another thing, cars that are that junky, what do you think, you're born yesterday, or is he really that stupid or that drunk thinking that these junk cars that were like a decade or more old is going to fit a part of a PT Cruiser? And even if you get them to fit, or they get even worse. Anyway, I'm not going to go all into that about whole thing about cars, but any people that know anything about cars, that's, you know, anybody that's like that, it's totally it's an insult to intelligence to anybody that is an authority on fixing cars to any extent. Even people that know how to fix cars professionally probably have stories about so-and-so's a neighbor that'll pull stupid shit like that on people. Matter of fact, I had an uncle that did that shit. Try to pull that shit so he could pocket the money, and I'm back in the 1980s or whatever. He had an uncle, he was an asshole that would try to do shit like that. But anyway, they caught up with him because he still had the damn money in his pocket, you know, and he was drunk or whatever. And then they end up saying, here, give me the money back. We'll just do it ourselves, you know, try and figure, you know, he'll have him, because he suggested it, you know, use the help and maybe pay him a few bucks and help him out. But evidently it's whatever excuse somebody makes. It's not about oh, I can save you a lot of money. It's doing what you're asked. If you were agreed to do a job for somebody, say if you watching this wanted to hire me to fix your car for the sake of the argument, and it was my job, right, to say go to the AutoZone, get parts like you said that we agreed to, right, and say I fixed your car. That does not mean That means go to the AutoZone, buy the part you asked me to do, and then you're paying me to put and do the work. Say I have tools. It does not mean go to on somebody's property, some junk car on there, try to get a part out of the car, and me to have your money in my pocket, like this, some paying for the part and some to pay me in advance or whatever the hell. And you say you don't know where I am or whatever, you don't know. I'm probably going to try to pull some. If I'm that, I couldn't. Somebody of my intelligence, I wouldn't do that stupid to somebody. But I'm trying to tell you what really means. Say if I was hired by you to fix your car, if I could, or if you watching this was getting paid to fix somebody's car. I mean, you got a good noodle, right? That holds a lot of information, right? Why the hell would you do something you're not asked to do? And especially go out and do that. Don't even suggest it face to face, which if suggested face to face, there would be a definite no. Go act like you're going to the AutoZone and nobody knows where the hell you're at, right? And go ask their wife and they get the information for them to track them down, that looks a little bit goofy or suspicious, or like if I were to do that to somebody, for one thing, thinking the customer is born yesterday. For anything else, if you claim to be capable of fixing a car, you really should go beyond the call and impress the person. If it's your neighbor, you know what I'm saying? This is about, I don't know, this video is about the encountering of stupid people like that. I don't know if you got this far in this video, if any of you guys got stories of a relative or some neighbor that tried to pull shit like that. Don't know what I'm going to call this video yet, but anyway, this video was basically a talk about people that either they're stupid and they think you're stupid, or whether they're that stupid or they, in their own minds, they're living back decades ago, where in some cases people were able to pull that off somehow, but then, cars are different. But anyway, it's also about doing what you're asked. It doesn't mean when somebody thinks you're going to the AutoZone, disappear and nobody knows where you're at and try to get some part out of some junky ass car without telling them. What that looks like is, especially when it wasn't suggested in the conversation, you'd get a no. That almost looks like you're not trying to do them a favor and save them money. It looks like you're trying to be sneaky in your own mind, drunk or whatever, thinking you're going to get over, and then you're taking too long and you got caught and it's a fucking excuse. You know what I'm saying? And this particular neighbor we had too, he wasn't a bad guy any other ways, but then you find out, anyway, if you guys got any stories, if you knew somebody, they weren't a bad person, they might have been friends or something and neighbors, but yet they're a good person any other kind of ways, even though they're drunk. But the kind of person that's nothing against them, don't get them to fix your car, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, to finish up this video, like I said too, don't matter if you're black or white. Western Penny, I call this part of it a white people Western PA thing. But I have a lot of friends in a former town of mine that were black too, and black people have shit where they'll do that shit to other black people, and black people got names for those other black people, just like white people got names for people that do shit like that. You know what I mean? That, whether you're black or white, it's about integrity and doing what you're asked. You know what I mean? And don't treat your friend or neighbor or whatever, or anybody, like they're fucking idiots. Especially if you ever expanded from doing that under the table for a neighbor. That should be treated like, well, do it beyond the call, and then if the word gets around about you and you do something well, you might get, whether you're planning on it, might get another customer. You never know. You know what I mean? And don't matter whether you're religious or not, or an atheist watching, or anybody watching, um, when you do things like that, it's just not good for your integrity or whatever too, and it comes back on you, and you reap what you sow. You know what I mean? It could either give you a good rep or bad rep. You know what I mean? Definitely not treat people like they're stupid. You know what I mean? But yeah. Anyway, I got through this without laughing because, yeah, people that actually still do this shit and actually think people were stupid. You know what I mean? But